recording. Just wanted to say welcome to everybody. Just checking in again. I'm Melissa Howard, and I think I pretty much know almost everyone in this room. I made the switch to reading team this year, and I'm super excited to be here with Mrs. Scribner.
Yes, my name is Danielle Scribner, and this is my 6th year as a reading teacher. We call it reading intervention, but that's not our only job. Because we're paid for out of our title budget, we also support our entire school with reading support. So lots of things like running the bookstore and helping teachers with curriculum and reading and assessing, and helping our paraprofessionals with PD and running small groups. So we do a lot more than just reading intervention. I'm happy to be here. I've been at Kinderman, I think 10 years now, which is incredible. But yeah, I'm excited to share more tonight.
All right, so I'm going to pull up here. So tonight we're going to just talk a little bit about some helpful hints for setting up reading in the home, since we're in this unique position right now. So Danielle, I'm going to go ahead and we'll kind of introduce our team at our school. So you met Danielle and I, but we also have some awesome para-educators who help support our school. We have Mrs. C, Mrs. Elton, Mrs. Johnson, and Mrs. K, and you might see your students interacting and reading with them, or you might see them in their classrooms because they provide a level of support as well. Okay, Ms. Scribner, go ahead.
Okay, so here we go. So putting the time in. I love this image because I think it just speaks volumes. It kind of goes over why we can't skip reading our 20 minutes every night, or any night, I should say, as much as possible. We want kids to be reading 20 to even 40 minutes a night as we get up into the upper grades, because you can tell a student that reads only 1 minute a day, student C down there, only learns about 8,000 words, and they score in the 10th percentile on standardized tests, whereas student A that reads 20 minutes a day will learn over 1 million words and be in the 90th percentile. And so it's just really key that we put the time in. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how to make that happen in your home.
So 4 of the main things to keep in mind that we're kind of suggesting when you're setting up reading in the home, 1 are having the resources to do so. 2, setting up a learning space or a place where they are able to be successful. And then we'll also talk a little bit about having your child set goals or know their goals that have been set, and then working on building stamina. So when we're talking about books, you'll hear us talk with kids a lot about good fit books. And a good fit book, often we use this, the iPick Just Right books. So when they're choosing a book, we want them to think about the purpose, like why are they wanting to read it? And then the 3 big ones are, does it interest me? And one of the things that Mrs. Scribner and I love to do is work on connecting kids with books and finding things that interest them. Play off of your kids' interests. Even video games, there are a lot of books that connect to that and can really draw them in. And then the 2 pieces that really help them know if it is a good fit book is if when they read the book, they understand it and that they know most of the words. Sometimes we have kiddos that can decode really well and they know all of the words, but they don't always understand what's happening in the story, and that might mean that it's not a good fit because maybe it's a little bit more of a mature book for them. I'm not going to go super in depth, but you will hear kids talk about, what's my level? Or we sometimes have parents ask, how do I know what level of book? When you hear your students refer to their goals, you're going to hear us using colors. So we might say right now they're reading at a 1R. And so those are the terms or the levels that students will be familiar with. That doesn't always match up with the levels that you'll see on a book or in, say, for example, Scholastic. So this is just a little bit of a glimpse at some of the other leveling systems, but really the grade level along with the color band is probably the most helpful. Just a hint, when you're looking at books in the, like at Barnes and Noble, sometimes you'll see, it'll say step 1, step 2, level 1, level 2. Those can mean a lot of different things, not always consistent. So that's where we go back to having your student check. Do they know most of the words, and do they understand what they're reading? So right now, the big thing is, right, where are we able to find some good books for good fit books for kids, and be able to boost up our home libraries. And so we have some resources, and we'll share this slide deck with you. In the slide deck, there are links. So one of them is Bookshelf, and Bookshelf is something that students can already access through Clever. So when they log into Clever, one of the things that will pop up, you'll see Seesaw and Dreambox, but Bookshelf is also on there. And when they go into Bookshelf, then they can choose a level library, and that's where knowing that color, the 1R, the 1 red, 2 red, 1 green, 2 green, that's where that's really helpful, because that is how the books are listed in theirs by color. And then there are some great online apps. Some are free, some are not. Epic is a great one. Whoops. Hang on just a second. Epic is a great one. Not all classroom teachers have Epic accounts, but check with your child's classroom teacher if they do. That's a great place to find some high interest books. Part of your reading team, I know I have an Epic account as well, so if we're working with students, we might add them to our Epic classrooms as well. Epic is, if you have the teacher link during school hours, it is free at home. And then there are also, if you want complete access, I think it's like $7 or $8 a month. And then Reading IQ is another one. Teachers can set up free accounts, so that your teacher might have a free account, and kids can access it with the login and the password. But if you're setting it up from home, I think that one costs as well. Sora is also, when the kids log in and they find Bookshelf and Dreambox, Sora is another one. I think it's mostly suited toward older grades. I mean, know the 4th and 5th graders really like it a lot. And there's some great books. You might have to wait because it's kind of like a virtual library, so they have to check it out. And because there's only so many subscriptions, or I can't think of the word, but sometimes there's a waiting list for a book. And then we discovered another really great site, and this one seems like it's completely free. It's called FunBrain, and it has some great books. We had a student that was looking for Diary of a Wimpy Kid, this great chapter book, and it has it on there, and so they can access that book. And then when you go to the slide deck, each of these is a link that you can click, and it'll take you to all of those sites if you're wanting to check those out. And then Mrs. Marsman talked a little bit about our curbside library. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:45 to 12:15, and then Wednesdays from 4 to 5, she has set up our curbside library where you can go to the school and students can pick up bags of books. They're pre-set up bags, so the kids won't get to choose specific books, but they can check them out and then keep them and bring them back and exchange them for another bag. And then we'll have more details coming soon, but we're also going to be having a book bus that will have some stops and be sharing some books. And then Mrs. Scribner and I and our reading team, we will also be looking at getting books into kids' hands. We'll have some book bags for checkouts. Kids have done the bookstore where they've worked on a reading goal and have earned certificates and being able to choose a book. We're going to try to find a way to still make that happen. And then we also have I have my entire classroom library with me. And so we'll look at maybe trying to do some checkout with kids, maybe team up with the curbside library with that.
Can I ask a quick question about
Sure.
the library book bags? Are they like grouped by color level or?
Yeah, I think, and Mrs. Scribner, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they did them banded by like grade level or general.
Yeah, they're by grade level, not by the color level. So there could be that students would have books that are maybe not the perfect fit for them, but we're hoping to find something that they're interested in. Whereas the books that Mrs. Howard and I would be putting together from our reading team would be more by color level. So we haven't been able to execute that yet, but we're making plans for it.
Cool, thank you.
You bet. All right, go ahead, Mrs. Scribner.
Okay, so one of the big things besides resources, because you can't really read if you don't have books or virtual books, is the next thing would be setting up a space that's distraction free and there's no screens and it's comfortable and you can have easy access to books. And this is really key, especially for really young readers who don't read on their own yet maybe, or still need a little bit of help, or maybe need somebody to kind of monitor them. But if they know and they have a routine where they can go, a place where they can go where all their books are, it makes it a lot easier for them. I know my son just started kindergarten in this crazy virtual world, and every night, he has his little job to do, and one of them is to look at his books and practice reading, but he does it in his little reading space. So it makes it a lot easier for me to check in on him and help him, but because he's in one space all the time, but also he can keep all of his things there. A big thing we want to do is just make it fun too. If your child's not reading yet, the typical type of reading the words and they're still using the pictures, that's okay. Read to them. If they don't like reading yet, we're going to say yet because we're going to turn them into readers one way or another, still read to them. Even our older kids, 4th and 5th graders, they can still have books read aloud to them, chapter books, and sharing books as a family. When we set the example for them, they'll become lifelong readers. So, okay. So this one is, Mrs. Howard, do you want me to do this one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this one is all about goal setting. And I hear kids a lot say, my goal is to be a white level reader. And I really try to encourage them to say, readers are not colors. They're not color levels. You're not bound by your level. So what is more important is to think about what they can do next in reading to build themselves up and move to the next level. So when a kid comes in and says, my goal is to be white, I'm like, well, not really. What are you going to do to get to white? What do you need to do? And so a lot of times we have goals around time, like you need to read a certain amount of time every night, or the number of pages, especially if you're reading chapter books. If you're trying to finish a chapter book a week, let's divide this up into 7 sections. Maybe it's a strategy that you use, like you get to a word you don't know and you look at the beginning sound. Or maybe it's that you read different types of books. So when kids get older, they like to stick in their favorite genre. I know I do, but we try to encourage them to read outside of the typical types that they like and try different things. And then another goal might be the purpose for reading. So why are we reading this? Am I reading to become more fluent? Am I reading because I need to practice my comprehension? So knowing that your child's goals and helping them communicate them and practice them, even if you're not sure how to help them practice, just having them being able to state it can really help them focus in and make their independent reading time more meaningful.
Speaking of time. So one of the things that we talk about a lot is building their reading stamina. And we talk to kids about, stamina. It's staying focused on your reading for a long period of time without getting too tired or giving up. And we talk a lot like runners. They have to build up their stamina. They start a little bit and then the next time they go a little bit more. So we have some recommended kind of time goals by grade level in kindergarten. And it doesn't always necessarily have to be one whole stretch at a time. It does help with their stamina if they're doing that. But in kindergarten, we look at from 5 to 10 minutes of independent reading. First grade, 10 to 20 minutes. Second grade, 20 to 30. Third grade, 30 to 40. Fourth grade, 40 to 50. And fifth grade, we're looking at having that hour-long stamina and being able to do that. Ms. Scribner, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
I would just say like that first number, the 5 on the kindergarten, that would be probably around January. We'd want to see them to be able to meet that target. Same way with 5th grade, they're reading about 50 minutes. And then by the end of the school year, they're meeting that end target. So for 5th grade, by June, around 60 minutes.
All right. So that's what we have, and I will, in just a second, I will put in the chat a link to this slide deck so that you have it, and it has all of the resources that we shared. But we wanted to take some time and open up and ask if anyone had any questions, if there was any, resources or things that we could help you with. Anything that might be a good use of your time tonight.
Hi, this is Dorinda. I have a question.
Mhm.
Yeah, so have the kids been evaluated on what their reading level is? I know my daughter's reading level from 3rd grade. She's in 4th grade now. How do I know what her reading level is?
That's a great question. We are currently reading and checking in with kids, and we're getting updated reading levels for students. Our goal is to have all the initial ones done by November. They take a little bit of time because you do them one student at a time. The teacher or the adult that they read with should be communicating with the student what their target level is and encouraging them to find those books in bookshelf at that level. But you can also always email your teacher or Mrs. Scribner or I, and we can also get that information to you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question about the book buses and the libraries. When are they open and stuff?
So the library pickup will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:45 to 12:15, and then on Wednesdays from 4 to 5. And so that you can come any day or any time during those on those days, and they'll give you a bag of books for your child, and you'll just tell them what grade level. Well, they'll take your information, and then the other thing will be a book bus, but that hasn't been set up yet. They keep changing our dates, and so we don't want to give out the wrong date, so we're waiting a little longer. But the book bus plan is that our librarian will be on a bus and coming around and making some stops a few, maybe, I don't know how many days a week yet, but and they'll have the same type of thing, bags of books for kids to check out.
Okay, thank you.
And then those of you that are trying to update, I just realized that, yes, I needed to change the access. So I just updated it, and you should be able to access from the links now. Sorry.
And I see a hand by Miriam.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
I have a kindergartner who's obviously her kindergarten was highly interrupted with COVID. So she really had like 6 months of in-person instruction. So we have been using some of the words like, let's build your stamina. But I know that she's like, oh, I need to get to this color, of reading. So we're really trying to encourage the reading, but I feel like is there any other additional resources from the ones on that you provided that are like more hands-on and not necessarily on screen time, that we could work more physically with them to, I really want to encourage and have her enjoy reading and not have it be, like this stressful thing, but just anything away from, more on screen time, I guess.
Yeah, I do know, besides our library system, I know Washington County Library right now is also doing, you can order books and then go pick them up right now, which would be great for those like in your hands books. Also, there's on bookshelf. Now this is good. This would test you as you would be being the teacher, but on bookshelf, there's something called the Foundations kits. And you can look at them, and there's lesson plans that go with that level of book. And there's also books, and the books are online right now. We in the school, we would be using them, you know, in the, like, not virtually. So you could go on there and say your child is 1G, and you could look over the lessons and see some of the games that are in there that they might be doing. But just be aware that the teachers also use those. But it's not a bad thing for a kid to get the same lesson twice, especially if we're trying to speed up the process. So that might be one thing that you could check out. But again, that's making you be the teacher. So I'm not sure if you really want to do that or not. But I would say, depending on the level, just games. I know games for my son are critical in learning new skills. So like when we were working on his letters and sounds over the summer, and we put them up, all the letters up on his wall, and at night before he go to bed, he'd use a flashlight, and we'd like get to say the name and the sound. So there's a lot of good games out there you can buy as well. Something we might consider, and Melissa, we have a bunch of games in like literacy games in the office, our office at school, and maybe that's something we could check out to families, because they're just sitting in there collecting dust that we can't use with the kids right now. So yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, I'm going to write it down because I don't want to forget it. But thank you for that question. We can maybe compile some more resources as well.
Yeah, and I would say, once we get up and running too, especially looking at kindergarten, we can start putting together some book bags, or sorry, kindergarten and first grade, where we're really wanting to target. We can put together some book bags that might be more specific to your students' level, and what would be helpful for them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I am joining a little late. I'm the interpreter, and there's also Maria that is trying to join the meeting. I do not know if you have any more people, but I'm going to do this in Spanish if you would like to catch me up, because unfortunately I was late. Buenas noches, soy Carla, soy la intérprete. Por favor, háganme saber si necesitan interpretación. Creo que va a entrar otra persona a esta sesión que necesita interpretación.
So what we can do, it looks like there's one more question, so maybe we'll answer that question, and then we can go through the slide deck for anyone that came in late or just joined us, and then we can go through that information again.
Ok, hay una pregunta más, entonces vamos a pasar por esta información y podemos regresar para comenzar de nuevo con las diapositivas.
Okay, so Dorinda, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I have a student who doesn't necessarily pick books her level. So she just goes to either Sora or wherever she is reading and just picks what she's interested in. And many a times I check and it's below her level, but that's what she's interested in. How do I encourage her to get books at her level? She tells me like the books at her level are boring and it's not what she wants. So I don't know, it's a big challenge for me.
One of the things we can do is that you could email her teacher or one of us and give us the topics, and we can give you series or other books that would be at her level that are very similar to what it is she's interested in. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking if the teacher assigns it to her, she will read it. And if I do, when I do, she doesn't. But, yeah, so I'll reach out to either you or her teacher or anyone and talk through. I don't want to take too much time. So thank you.
Yeah. The other thing you could try too is like you get to pick one to read, and then the next one I get to pick. You read.
Oh yeah, it takes. Like, we've tried that. And it takes a long time.
Okay.
To read those. Yeah.
Well, then just hand her over to us, and we'll.
Oh, okay.
We'll
all right.
make a
Thank
list
you.
for her. Yes.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you for that offer. That's that's a really valuable service.
Yes.
finding other series that might hook them.
Yeah, I would say that that's one of the things that I worked on the last few years, especially with our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, is figuring out like how to hook them and keep them engaged, and to take what they already love and find another avenue. And so it takes some finesse. There's some books out there like Donna Lynn Miller has the Book Whisperer. It's a great resource if you're really wanting to learn how to hook your kid with new or different styles of books. But yeah, I love, it's like my favorite part of the job is finding kids the perfect book, whether they're struggling or they're already a reader. So I love it.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, so I think what we'll do, I think we got most of the questions. If you had all your questions answered and you had a chance to see the slides, we will go ahead and say good evening, and we hope you have a great night. And feel free to contact either of us if you have any further follow-up questions. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go back and pull our slide deck back up for anyone who missed the beginning part. And then Carla, if you could interpret for us, that would be wonderful.
Yes, I'm here. If there's anyone that needs interpretation, estoy aquí. Si alguien de ustedes necesita ayuda de interpretación o tiene alguna pregunta.
You see anybody? All right, well, I will go through. Oh, hang on just one second. I have to restart the.
Yo tengo una pregunta.
Okay.
Sí.
Como está diciendo de los libros, que puede ir uno a recogerlos los martes y jueves y los miércoles. ¿Uno tiene que llamar para que ya tengan los libros listos o nada más tiene uno que ir?
Okay. The question is about the books and pick up the books, and that's on Monday and Wednesday. Is that correct?
Martes. Es martes y jueves.
Tuesday and Thursday, yeah.
Okay, so es martes y jueves, pero los libros ya, so are the books going to be already ready for them to pick up? Do they have to call ahead of time?
Nope. They'll be ready. They'll be in bags. You'll just need to let them know what grade level your student is, and then they'll give you a bag to check out. You don't have to call ahead.
No tiene que llamar previamente, nada más tiene que decirles el nivel de lectura en el que está su hijo para que le tengan una bolsita de libros ya lista. ¿Eso contesta su pregunta, señora?
Sí.
Ok. Y es el martes y jueves, tenía usted razón.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen, and it will have the times for the book pickup are in that slide show, and we'll share that link as well.
En esta diapositiva van a mostrar dónde está la liga para lo de los libros, señora Tapia.
Sí.
So if we didn't get a chance to say hello when you first came in, I'm Melissa Howard, and I'm part of your reading team along with my cohort here.